My 18th birthday party, October. Live out in the country in Tennessee. Dark as all kinds of fuck. Perfect chilly weather. Around 25 people all gathered at my house. We're playing manhunt. One guy runs off into woods. Everyone else waits an hour, then hunts him with paintball guns. Plan on multiple rounds through the night. Couple rounds go by. No big deal. My 10-year-old brother draws short straw. Almost didn't let him go hide, but he begged. What could happen? We tried to find him for 6 hours. Eventually find him terrified in a hunter perch thing in a tree. Friend who found him said he kicked him in the face and almost knocked him off the tree at first. I ask him why. He tells me that he heard me trying to find him below the perch hours earlier. He peeks out. It isn't fucking me. It isn't a fucking person. It stayed below the tree calling his name for a few hours. Ran off when it heard us coming to actually find him. I've posted this before, but the thread died soon after. December 21st, 2022. Be me. Have a dream where a coworker cut their left hand. Vivid image of a gloved latex left hand being held out in front of me. Cut at the palm, blood coming out. I couldn't tell who it was. We all wear bunny suits at work. Pick related. Wake up. Tell my coworkers my dream. One guy scoffs, says he'll be careful. Rolls eyes. Later on, standing in a group, I notice he's covering his hand. Eyes connect. He hides it. Later on, he tells me he doesn't want to hear about my dreams anymore. I have vivid nightmares frequently and share with them. They think I'm cursed or something. Shows hand. Left palm cut. Band-aid underneath glove. Bro. I didn't believe him because it was too coincidental. So he took off the band-aid and showed me the gash. He hid it from everyone because of OSHA, and we have to report accidents. But made me promise not to say a word. More the better. It had me reeling a little, and my coworkers already think I'm a bit out there. I've posted these before, but I'm gonna repost these so this thread doesn't fucking die. Be me. Work at a dock. Work the night shift. Despite being in a region known for its crime, the dock gets pretty quiet at night. My job is to basically just watch cameras, do patrols, and shoo away teens who come down to the docks to smoke weed and etc. Boring as fuck, but it pays kinda good for where I live. Be working the graveyard shift. Basically, nothing happens during these shifts, because it's the middle of the fucking night. About to fall asleep due to how fucking boring it is. Hear footsteps. Don't give a shit because it's probably one of the other guards or one of the coworkers. Hear footsteps fade away into the distance. Remember that I'm supposed to be alone in this part of the dock, and that if anyone had entered the area, they would have called it on the radio. Fuck that MP4. Open office door and look around. See a tall silhouette at the end of the walkway. It's just looking at me. Turns and walks around the corner. Remember that I'm not a fucking baby, and that this is the only job I could find in months. Go charging after the silhouette. Round corner. Dead end. What? Literally the only way the person could have vanished like that is if they jumped off the railings and into the stormy sea below. My face went. This area is known for drownings due to how aggressive and deep the sea is. My face went. I would have heard them impact the water. My face went. This isn't the first or last time this has happened to me. Shit like this happens so fucking often that I have considered leaving, but it's the only job that will accept me in the local area because my dad is friends with the owner. Other stuff that made me shit bricks. High school freshman. Drinking with my friends at an abandoned football field. Starts to get dark. The stands lights still work, but you had to go into the creepy-ass admin shack and manually switch them on. It was mine and another friend's shift to go. Before approaching shack, get a feeling like we're being watched. Go to turn on lights. Deed done. Exit shack. See a black Jeep parked parallel with the back door, from which we came out. Something's not right with it. Carefully approach Jeep. There's a tied up mannequin on the passenger seat. Nope. Sprint back to friends and bolt out of the field. Swear to God, Jeep wasn't there when we were leaving. 9th grade. At a public pool with most of the same people I mentioned above. Dicking around. Weird older looking kid approaches us. pedo stash, but kind of developed. Bleached hair. Tall, but skinny fat. Wants to exchange numbers with us. We ask him which school he goes to. Fucker says that he's the grade under ours at our school. Red flags galore. Gives us his Instagram. Very shady looking. Can't describe without sounding schizo, but it had a gore image profile pic. Freaks out when we tell him that. Says he's hacked. Bugs us for a number, but we managed to bug him off somehow. I got one about aliens, I think, if anyone's interested. Although, I'll warn you now that it's pretty anticlimactic. Be me. Living in a little blink and you'll miss it town in a shithole country. I work at a PC repair store, but we do more general electronic repair related stuff. I actually have very little knowledge about this shit, but almost everyone in this town is a boomer, and you would be amazed at how many people come in complaining about their broken PC, and it just turns out it's fucking covered with dust. And after a good cleaning, it works like a charm. If it's not that, you can be sure they downloaded some shifty shit online, and you just run some antivirus software and problem solved. Anyway, I'm at work like normal when the local head cop walks in. Sheriff equivalent, I suppose. And tells me he needs some help with some tech-related stuff on a case he's got. Sweating pepe.jpg. Like I said, I know very little about this stuff, but once you've fixed a boomer's PC or laptop or phone one time, they think you're a fucking savant. Get permission from boss to go help. Go to police station. Have to sign some shit about how I'm like an IT advisor on the case or some shit. He starts asking me if I saw any quote-unquote weird things recently. Weird? Eventually, he slides over a smartphone, tells me some local girl went missing, and her friend says she got abducted by aliens while they were making blogging videos of some kind, and he needs me to find them so he can watch them. I'm fucking dead inside as I scroll through this phone. We got the password from the friend, somehow she knew it, and I realize I'm literally just here to find the video on her phone, and click play. There were a couple different folders with videos, and this boomer cop honestly didn't even know how to find it, and thought he needed some IT genius to hack into the phone or some shit. So I'm going through the different folders trying to find the most recent video. Whole time, cop is telling me what happened. I honestly think there must be some sort of law against that. Like, he can't just tell me about this case and these people involved. But when you're in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, people don't really care too much about the rules. If the family wants to sue him for that shit, I imagine they would have to take him to the nearest city, cause we don't even have a proper courthouse. Anyway, I'm half listening as he tells me about how the phones at the police station were going crazy last night, and how people were calling in about lights in the sky, and people prowling around their gardens. I'm just like, yeah, that's crazy. I was drinking and watching anime last night with my headphones on, so I didn't even hear any of this shit. Every video is just this girl, sometimes with her friend talking about some K-pop band that they like, or cooking and doing recipes and shit. All the videos are like 3 to 5 minutes long. Eventually I find a video that's 10 minutes long. 10 minutes exactly. I imagine the phone automatically stops at that point, and I skip to the end and it's just like 2.5 minutes of nothing. Phone's just pointed at the ceiling fan, and then it cuts off. Bingo. Track back to the 3-minute mark. Girl was lying on her bed talking to her friend. It's a split screen and her friend is just chilling at her house, I'm guessing. They're talking about some shit, super forced and awkward. I think they were uploading these to YouTube or TikTok or some shit in hopes of becoming famous. Missing girl eventually stops laughing and gets this terrified look in her eyes. I say her eyes because her face was barely moving. Looked like she had a stroke or something. She's really still, but her eyes are really panicked. She must have had the phone leaning on something because it didn't move at all. At this point, the cop has shut up and has moved next to me. So this girl is laying there like she's got a gun to her head. Imagine her phone lying to her right by her head, probably propped on a bedside table as it records them. So we can see over her and out her doorway a bit, but most of the room is off screen. Her friend starts asking her what's wrong. Girl's eyes are darting like crazy now. I think she was trying to say, "I can't move," but it was from out of the corner of her mouth, and really mumbled. Really looked like a stroke victim. Video goes on like this for like 30 seconds. Her friend is clearly scared, but obviously doesn't want to freak out, in case it's a prank. I would have thought it was a prank, but I noticed one little tear run down her face. This girl is clearly terrified. Eventually hear floorboards creaking outside girl's room. Light from hallway gets a bit dimmer as someone walks in front of it. Oh shit, that JPEG. I'm about to watch some fucking serial killer walk into this room and take this girl. Feels like fucking CSI Miami. Girl's eyes are fixed on her doorway. They are bulging to the point that they look like they're about to pop out. Figure appears in the doorway. Very tall, very dark, quite wide across. Literally needs to turn shoulders to enter through the doorway. For some reason, the fact that it looked right, the wrong way, into the other room, first scares me. Like, it just gave it this very human element of searching the rooms for someone. Honestly, wasn't even thinking at this point. I was just watching this shit like I was completely detached, and this wasn't even happening. Like when you're dreaming, but you realize it's a dream. There are 3 of these things, and they enter one after another. The best way I can describe these things is that they look like a mix between an owl and that thing from Spirited Away. No Face is the name, I think. Imagine that, but with an owl's head instead of a mask. But also has a little lipless mouth instead of a beak. They get closer, and I realize that those giant black ovals aren't dark feathers, like how an owl tricks you into thinking it has giant eyes. These things actually have massive fucking eyes. The biggest difference between these and normal aliens is how big they were. The heads and eyes were massive, but not really disproportionate to the bodies. Looked like pig related. There is no pig. What the fuck? But they were wearing clothes like No Face. Black shawl-looking things. Made it hard to tell what their bodies looked like because it was just a solid black mass. But definitely clothes, and clearly the bodies under them were huge. We just sit there, fucking dead silent, as these things walk towards the girl. Her friend has been screaming the whole time. They stand over her, and I notice that she's screaming too, but it's muffled and coming out the corner of her mouth. It's like I'm honestly watching somebody have a sleep paralysis episode. They reach out. Hands and arms are very stereotypical of gray aliens. Slender and pale, but when juxtaposed with those huge bodies, they almost look like tentacles. 2 of them literally pick her up like she's a sack of potatoes. Like, they don't even look her in the eyes. They carry her out of the doorway. The one in front makes quite a big bow to ensure she doesn't hit her head on the lintel. Weirdly, the camera doesn't move during any of this, but after the 2 are gone with the girl, it suddenly gets knocked over, and we can hear quite a lot of clattering. I guess the 3rd one did it. Cop literally whispers, "There was signs of a struggle." I guess for my benefit, or maybe the story was just making sense in his head. We just sit in silence for the next 3 minutes, as the video rolls while pointed at the ceiling fan. Remember how I said it was anticlimactic? Well, that was basically the end. I left the police station like I was a fucking ghost, just wandering around, and I never got called back. The girl was never found, and the whole town seems to just have gone, "Huh, I guess she got abducted or something." I don't know if anyone else saw the video, and I never told anyone else but my sister, but the whole town knows the story now, and I imagine about half of them believe it. I think the video probably still exists, and I've asked the cop about it, but he just says he can't give me case evidence. Certainly he fucking cares about the rules. I don't think any men in black came and scared him, or anything like that, and I imagine he's shown it to a few people. My one friend told me the story in perfect detail, even though I never told him. That phone is probably sitting in a desk drawer right now, about 5 kilometers away from me, but I'm not about to go break into a police station to prove it to anyone. I think the official story is that she got kidnapped by 3 dudes in masks. Anyway, I still think about that girl sometimes. Her fucking eyes looking at those things, and the way they looked at the wrong doorway first. Fucking awful. Autumn of 2021. Big bro and I have been into the supernatural and spoopy shit since we were kids. Always told me about the strange and ghostly encounters from when he was in his late teens to early 20s. We've been to some places, but nothing ever truly made me believe in ghosts. Been talking about LARPing as if we were real ghost hunters. He splurges on buying multiple EMF readers, motion detectors, mag lights, cameras, and the works. Hears about some supposedly haunted hotel called the Beaumont Hotel in a tiny unincorporated part of Kansas. Some history of the place and the rumors. The hotel was originally built in the late 1800s as a stop for the railroads and for pioneers. Supposedly, the original owner worked the hotel, and his wife prostituted herself out to the guests so that they could keep the business afloat. At some point, one of the regular guests, a cowboy by the name of Zeke, took a liking to her, and an affair began. The owner found out of his wife's infidelity, and when Zeke stayed again, he shot him several times in his sleep. To this day, residents and the current owners say that Zeke still haunts the hotel, with his iconic spurs still jangling as he walks the halls. In the 1940s, as aviation really started to take off, see what it did there? Locals started using the main street of the town as a landing strip. So, in 1953, the owner at the time, James Clinton J.C. Squire, renovated the hotel and bought 70 acres of property to turn into a landing strip for pilots. This naturally brought in tons of pilots to the town who would make a rest stop at the hotel, even to this day. J.C. passed away in 1980 after selling the hotel 2 years prior, although, as far as I know, his family still runs the place. To this day, residents and owners claim sightings of ghosts and paranormal events happening on the daily. Knocks, footsteps, bangs, doors opening and closing, things being thrown and moved, all the stuff that you hear of in the movies. Anyway, brother's birthday is coming up, so we decided we would stay there for the night, for the lulz. We want to LARP as mug ghost hunters, so we take all the cool shit we can think of, book the room, and we head out. Over an hour on the highway, my eyes glazing over, staring at the direction on Google Maps. I see we're getting close. Notice dirt road off the highway that leads to this wooded over area. We go on the dirt road into the town. Trees seem to loom over us, like bending overhead to form a tunnel. Totally not ominous at all. WAD. Beginning of town is old dilapidated building from multiple eras. Brick building from the 1800s. Some old corner store from the 70s. Shit looks straight out of Resident Evil 4. See the hotel, with a nearby plane on display and an old train. All modern cars out front of the place, so seems normal-ish enough. Check in the hotel and look at all the 50s aviation memorabilia covered the walls. Neato. We're told where our room will be. We head upstairs and down this long hallway. Our room is at the very end, feeling like I'm being watched the whole way there, despite us being the only guests. I'll give a quick layout to the room. Right when you walk in, there's a huge bed with a mini fridge to the right next to the door, with a nightstand on the other side of the bed next to the wall. At the end of the room, to the left of where you enter. At the foot of the bed essentially is a wall dividing the room in half, with a TV on either side. In the other half of the room is a sitting area, with the second aforementioned TV, 2 chairs with footrests, and a bathroom. Sorry for terrible mouse art, by the way. We arrived around 6-ish, so we decided to take a load off and get settled, cracking stupid jokes, and he's giving me some more rundown of the history of this place. Within 1 hour, our first weird thing happens. Sitting in the chair closest to the window, opposite of the bathroom, hear knocking on the window next to me. Turn and see the blinds move on their own. Mild spooked that WebM. We both saw it, but attempt to shrug it off as nothing. Few hours pass uneventfully. Bored out of my mind, watching Family Guy on the TV in the sitting room. Around 9, we both agree we'll start a little LARPing investigation at 10:30, because that's when the hotel goes into silent time, as the owners call it. 10 hits, and we start hearing some light knocking, but chalk it up to the housekeeping. We start to set up our gear. Motion detectors in the bedroom and on the bed. We have these tiny balls that light up when you shake them, with enough force. You would give it to like a dog or something. Set up 2 in the bedroom, 1 in the bathroom, and 1 in the sitting room on the floor. We each have an EMF reader. He has an expensive nice one, and I have a shitty cheap one, but can check temperature. By 10:30, the hotel was dead silent. Not a sound from the vacuums, not a footstep in the hall. Start our search by scanning each room for readings, making sure to note every object and area that could give off shit. TVs and the radio on the nightstand, for example. Middle of the sitting room has 0 readings and rather open. Just to be safe, we turn off everything, including the ACs and ceiling fans. Around 80 degrees in room, and 0 readings of any kind. Scan both rooms and the bathroom over and over, and every corner for readings. Only shit we get is obviously if we are close to our phones or plugged in electronics. Make sure to avoid said electronics. Eventually, we both settle on sitting on the footrests in the sitting room. Occasionally check bathroom cause I just get weird vibes in there. Bathroom is so tiny, you have to shut the door to get to the shower. That's across the room from the toilet. Sit in there, and I get this overwhelming feeling to cry. Fear grips me, and I have to leave. Tell bro to check out the bathroom, but don't mention what I felt. Comes back out looking bothered. Tells me he felt his eyes water, and like something electrical touched him. We basically take turns feeling whatever is in there. Definitely feel a presence in there, like someone else was in there, and it felt cold and emotionally heavy, like a funeral. We chill back on the footrests, scan the middle of the room for readings. Ours both go into the red, getting heavy readings simultaneously from about the same area. Feel that heavy feeling again, like I was gonna cry. Take a few deep breaths and try to take this quote-unquote professionally. The readings go away. Move my reader around and get fuck all. Feel this horrible feeling like I'm being watched from kind of behind me. Suddenly, my left side feels ice cold. Move my reader next to me, and it's flashing and going off. I don't remember it reading a temp change though. Tilt it so my brother can see it, and he can see my look of like wanting to cry. Try to choke out, "It's next to me." Only a whisper comes out. Readings fade quickly, and I feel the cold shift in front of me, and back to the middle of the room. Brother's reader goes off. Track the movement with my reader to see the cause of the readings is, in fact, moving in thin air with zero cause. Much of this dialogue is from my memory, so I'll give you the bits that I do kind of remember. Brother speaks up. "Hello? We can see you're here." Readings going off like crazy. "Thank you for showing yourself to us." Or something like that. We do some basic holding our hands out and letting it touch us stuff. Every time we feel the coldness touch us, we consistently get readings. Decide we could try using the readers as a very rudimentary form of communication. He explains it to whoever, or whatever, was there. Basically, one reading equals yes. I guess like no reading equals no. Why we didn't do like 1 for yes, 2 for no is beyond me. I assume if it's a ghost, it must be this Zeke fella that everyone's talking about. Bro asks, "Have you been here for a long time?" We get readings. "Is there a JC here?" Immediate and huge reading from both of our readers. "Is this JC that we're speaking to?" Immediate and huge readings again. I'm trying to process what is going on and that I'm not completely crazy. Ask some more basic questions. One rumor bro heard is that 16 spirits haunt this place, if I recall. Are there others that have been here a long time? Yes again. Eventually try to narrow down the number, and it lands on 15 others. Doesn't give a reading if we ask if there are more. From our questions we find out he stays here essentially because he loves his family here, and the hotel he owned. Make sure to not ask about his death or the other side or whatever. Crack a joke or two, trying to be lighthearted. The reader goes off constantly, but peaks in a pattern, kind of like a person laughing. Realize he's laughing with us. My man. Busy asking a question when I think I see the ball on the floor from earlier shift slightly. Brother saw it and asked if I did too. Mind you, the only lights in the room were our flashlights, so it was very dark. Ask JC if he did it. Another yes. Ask him to do it again for us if he would be okay with it. The fucking thing moves enough to start flashing its lights. It rolls enough that we can see it roll. Shit bricks, that MP4. We're both completely stunned at this point. We both saw something so irrefutable that it's not just a feeling. Decided we'd move on to EVPs. We tried a few devices, including homemade devices. Basically, picked up nothing for an hour. Eventually, we decided we will try to do one very last one before we decide to head to bed. Tell JC if he wants to give any kind of parting message for us. He can. We left the phone on the floor for him, and the ball from earlier was pretty close to it. During the recording, the ball moves again and lights up. Thank him for letting us record him, and for doing everything he has tonight. Bro says, "I hope you don't mind us sleeping in here tonight." No reading. Slowly goes into the green after a few seconds. We take it as a reluctant, "Okay," and laugh about it. Reader does that laughing pattern again. He was making a joke this time. Eventually, bid our farewells and good night. The coldness and heavy feeling instantly go away. No readings at all. We pack our gear back up and head to bed. Turn on the TV and pass the fuck out. Best rest of my life. We wake up bright and early the next morning, check the audio on bro's phone from last night, and can faintly make out some weird stuff. Hear something get hit lightly at the exact time the ball rolled during the recording session. For me, that was more than enough evidence that what happened was 100% real. Unfortunately, he has the audio, I don't, but I'll see if I can get it sometime. We get all packed up and load our stuff in the car. Decide we'll take a look around the town before we leave. check out the town's attractions. Only thing that interests me is the destroyed old corner store. The dust-covered window has writing on it in the dust. Names of others who came before us. Friends, siblings, lovers, some with dates over the decades. Bro and I get in the car to head home. Tells me the town cemetery is across the highway. Head over there to pay our respects. Takes some time, but we find JC's grave. Thanked him again for everything. Felt a happy presence next to me when I knelt down. Like he was there with me. Brother and I entered that town expecting nothing. As stuff went on, we thought it was going to be creepy and awful, and yet we went back home that day. Happy. Felt like we got to talk to a lonely soul who hadn't had real company in a long time. For so long before this, I had been a hardcore atheist and only saw the paranormal as fake but interesting. My very principles and beliefs, or lack thereof, were challenged that night. And today, I live and accept what most of us would consider the supernatural as just a normal part of life. I've had many encounters with the other side since then, and while at times I feel like a schizo, JC made me realize and always remember that you shouldn't be so quick to deny it. I'll try to visit him again someday. Also, fun fact, I heard he loves to play pranks on people, including shutting and locking doors and pushing chairs in front of them when housekeeping is cleaning to lock them out of rooms. TLDR, ghosts and shit.